Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about our roadmap, basically what we're currently working on and what's coming up over the next year or so. So these are sort of the major themes. So I'll be diving in each of these, hopefully giving you a little sneak peek as well. So over the past really 9 months, the team's been really hard at work, totally revamping our ELN. This includes a brand new sort of front end framework that'll really support a lot of the features that we've heard from all of our users. Um, the first release of this actually went out late last week. So just to show it here, if you want to take a look at the new editor, just simply write into support and we can enable it for a specific vault. Once enabled, you'll see just a secondary option here to create using the new editor. The look and feel is going to be very similar to the old one. You'll be able to select a project and all the tools and sort of features that were there previously will be present as well. You'll see a lot of rapid sort of evolution. We're kind of easing into a 2-week release cycle. This is going to include sort of missing features or sort of core features that just haven't yet been ported, as well as a lot of new feature requests, which I'll sort of highlight here. So as part of the new editor, a lot of formatting, sort of basic table supports, but really also workflow. So the big one is ELN Templates, really being able to set these up to really streamline sort of ELN creation. This busy slide just kind of highlighting a lot of the evidence that we've heard across our user base. The plan is to address these features, over the coming quarters. We're not going to necessarily blindly follow sort of this list here in this exact order, but try and get as many of these features out as soon as possible. And per usual, release early and often, get feedback, iterate, and sort of continue to polish. The big one is Barry mentioned at the beginning is a brand new module, our Curve Analytics. Really what this is aimed to enable is true lab automation. So kind of thinking of that raw data file coming off the plate reader, being able to use our new Parser, which you'll hear about from Charlie a little bit later in the day, to really manipulate those raw data files in an automated fashion. And then leveraging sort of our bulk import to get data into Vault, process it accordingly, and ultimately end with a plot. So some of the major sort of feature sets are listed down below. These are some of the things that we're planning to address. The big one here is our new readout definitions. So let me go here. So in addition to sort of a more streamlined UX, the goal here really is to be able to take any raw data values, layer all types of calculations on top, whatever is necessary to process the data, and then feeding those process results into a plot tool. So our nested sort of old UI is gone and now really streamlined to allow people to sort of build up these readout definitions in a sequential manner. So the new form here basically allows you to access all of those data types, including sort of the calculated ones, which have a formula builder, as well as the plot, which now will sort of take in the raw readout definitions for your X and Y, and really allow you to just have ultimate flexibility in terms of what you want to plot, as well as what curve fit you want to apply. So this list is going to grow over time and really allow Vault administrators to kind of customize the types of fits that are relevant for all of the types of assays that you're running in that particular vault. So in this sort of very common example, right, TR-FRET assay, you're bringing in variable concentrations, 2 different reads, which then you're bringing into a calculation. This calculation is then normalized to your controls on those microtiter plates. And then the normalized value coming out of that is what you're feeding into this dose response plot. So previously, some of this work had to be done externally or ahead of time. And so the goal, again, is sort of this lab automation, set it up once, and really just kind of streamline the ingestion of data. On the other side of it, so this was released a few weeks ago, is sort of taking from our visualization suite. It was wonderful to see in Samantha's slides the new dose response plots. Really, this is providing sort of the framework to add a lot of functionality. So what is currently available is sort of our baseline. The goal here is really to avoid needing to export data out of Vault in order to create publication-ready plots. Also, being able to overlay curves. So whether that's multiple molecules on the same plot for the same assay, or even same molecule across multiple assays, depending on how you've organized your data, you should be able to see that sort of curve overlay or composite plot. And be able to share those results. So adding the curve, sort of the mechanism, it's basically just typing it out, loading those molecules, or finding the relevant protocols where there's data for that same set. On the settings side, so again, borrowing from sort of the UX of our visualization suite, being able to click on settings. These are just some of the initial settings, but really trying to balance sort of ultimate configuration with just ease of use, right? So we don't want to overload it with just too many settings, but we also want to make sure you're getting something that's meaningful and easily digestible. Going into sort of Q2, Q3, really building on the inventory story, like Barry said, sort of the third level of hierarchy, the sample management. The key sort of feature here is search, right? So really being able to drill down on sample level information. We're going to introduce a new tab here next to the ELN, which will be inventory. The search is going to work very similar to our ELN. You'll be able to do substructure-based searching, keyword, create filters and saved views to easily generate sort of those inventory level reports, right? Find me all toxic compounds, find me everything that's known about this particular compound. And these are some of the features that we've already heard from sort of the initial release of that functionality. All right, so Q4 and beyond is really all about macromolecules. We've begun this work, and I'll show you a little preview on the sort of front-end editor side. But really, it's leveraging all of the tools that exist in CDD Vault today and just pivoting to a new entity type. Today, you can easily register, modified sequences. And so it's really just extending that functionality to really be explicit in terms of the registration piece, and then downstream sort of processes with like sequence alignment and some of the physical chemical properties. So for that, I'm going to show you the new editor. So leveraging kind of the current molecule mode, if you will, this is what's currently available for drawing any sort of structures or reactions within CDD Vault today. We're essentially just adding a toggle. So whether your perspective is sort of on the small molecule side or more from like a macromolecule perspective, you'll be able to capture that and sort of switch back and forth. So if you've got a small molecule, attached to your sequence, you can sort of see it in that mode. Over here on the right-hand side is a current library of modifications. And the general goal here is to extend this to include really any common modifications. Something, as long as it's not proprietary, it'll go sort of as the default set. The goal there is to eliminate extra work from having to go in and customize those libraries again and again. And so if we can offer sort of a baseline set that covers the majority of use cases, that's going to ultimately save you time. Currently, it's sort of a click, drag and drop. You can add your bonds, highlighting over, connecting R3 over. It'll prompt you, right, for the correct connection points. And so you can start building out, sort of modified sequences or extending these sequences. Recently, we also introduced different modes. So you can also go into our sequence mode, start a new sequence. So I can switch into sequence mode and start the new sequence. You'll notice up here in the edit mode, I can designate, sort of what type of sequence I'm entering. And so then it just allows me to start typing. And so you can quickly copy paste. And the idea here is that this will be sort of the unmodified sequence where you can then, go in and select specific residues to make those modifications. It would bring up a short list. Right? And then you can also switch in between these modes if you want to sort of see it maybe as a subunit to make those modifications there as well in the RNA builder. So this is very much a work in progress. If you're interested in sort of a sneak peek, we can definitely bring you in. It's pretty much going to be like a monthly release cycle in terms of new features, and we've got a pretty well described roadmap here. But we would love to hear sort of your feedback, so please get in touch. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the snapshot. So looking at just, Q1, we're kind of in the process of unveiling everything, getting feedback, look out for release notes, and, knowledge base articles will all be updated. And then really, just sort of the consistent theme of building on the ELN, the curve analytics, and then our inventory module.